As a business owner, I love the potential that short form video has for my business, but making one TikTok or reel takes so much time. Multiple takes, sweating through my shirt, glitchy text, disappearing drafts. I was almost ready to give up on it all until I discovered how I can make a dozen reels in 1 week. I basically cloned myself, and here's how you can do the same. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can start your own Reels creation process that lets you produce content almost as if there were two of you. First, let's cover how people typically make short form videos, whether that's TikTok or Reels. And it's this. Typically, it's done one at a time, meaning I'm going to sit down, I'm going to look at my phone, look for ideas, I'm going to find an idea, I'm going to film it, I'm going to edit it, then I'm going to write a caption and publish it all in one go. That's the usual way, right? And I would guess that the average amount of time it takes to do that is probably 60 minutes. For some people, maybe even 2 hours. And for a business owner who's working 6 to 8 hours in that day, 2 hours is too much time. I'm speaking from experience here. I don't have time to spend 2 hours every day making a reel from scratch. So instead of getting frustrated with the amount of time that video production can take for a business owner, I've since created a process that I follow, and it's this: ideation, creation, editing, scheduling, and posting. There's no cool acronym for it other than we could say ICE, SP, maybe? That's not very creative. So this is the flow. This is the process that I use in my business so that I can actually make not just one reel at a time, but even 10 at a time. Now, if we step back and think,
whoa, how do you manage 10 reels being produced at the same time?
Well, I don't keep it all in my head. I actually use a tool to keep this whole system flowing, and so that I can know at any given moment where every video is in the production process. I use a tool called Asana. It's free, but you could also use a tool like Trello or Airtable. Let me take you into my Asana so I can show you what this all looks like. Here we are inside of my Asana project, which we call Instagram production. So this is where I look when I need to know where we're at with our video production. The very first column I want you to notice, it's called Ideas for Review. So this is where my team and I will drop in ideas that we come across on TikTok or Reels, and we'll drop them here for review. Now, inside of each card, there's more information about how the idea can be adapted to my niche. So we make sure to fill that in. Then, once I've reviewed the idea and it's approved, I'm going to move it to the To Create column. So whenever I am ready to film my reels about once a week, here is where I'm going to find all the ideas that I've already reviewed and they're ready for filming. So you can see there is a lot there. And again, inside of each card, the idea has already been adapted to my niche. Once it's filmed, it's going to move to the next column, which is the To Edit column. So you can see here, I've just dropped it over here. And you can see that I've got a couple that I've already filmed. They just need to be edited. And once that's done, once I've edited these TikTok or Reels on my phone, I'm still going to go ahead and move the card over into the next column so that my team and I know which ones are done and ready to be posted. So this phase, which is called To Schedule or Post, also is the phase where I go ahead and write a caption for the Reel or TikTok, or my team member does. So again, we do that all inside of this card right here. We'll fill in the details. Once the caption is written, once it's ready to go, we'll give it a date of when we want to publish it. So maybe we want to publish it February 10th. Once I've gone ahead and published this on the date that it's scheduled for, I'm going to move it to the last column, which is scheduled or posted. And then I'm going to check it off to show that this video is done. Now I have a record of everything that we have posted in the past and the process that every single video has gone through. So that is the system that we use for our Instagram production. So what's my big secret here? How do I ultimately produce content as if there were two of me? Well, first, let me share with you an analogy. Do you like cookies? Every now and then I get a craving for a cookie. In fact, I could use a chocolate chip cookie right about now. So if I were to go back into my kitchen and start to make a cookie, what I would do is find the ingredients and measure out the ingredients to make a dozen cookies at one time. Even though I'm craving just one cookie, I'm not going to just take a tablespoon of flour and a smidgen of butter and make a tiny little batch of cookies. No, I am going to get a cup of flour and half a cup of butter, and I'm going to make the dough for a dozen cookies. So if you followed my analogy here, my secret, or the way that I clone myself, is a term called batching. To drive the cookie analogy home, again, I'm not just gonna make one cookie, I am gonna make a dozen or a batch of cookies at one time. This is the definition of efficiency. Imagine how much longer it would take if I had to make a tiny bowl of dough for 12 cookies one at a time. So batching is the key to making a dozen videos at one time. You are gonna break up the process into phases. So for example, I'm gonna look for 10 video ideas at one time. Another time, I'm going to film them. A different time, I'm going to edit them. That essentially is batching when it comes to your video production process. First, let's address the typical way that people usually find ideas for TikTok or Reels. They scroll the apps for hours, guilty, and they end up in either a hole of comparisonitis. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Oh, that's good. I should have thought of that. Or total overwhelm. Okay, I'm in. I need 6 70s inspired outfits, 4 friends to help me, and a cute puppy. How do I make this work? To avoid all of that, because no one's got time for either of those things, what's the best way to find ideas for your TikTok or Reels? Okay, so scrolling your feed is the best place to find ideas, but you need guardrails in place so that you don't end up in those scroll holes and accidentally lose 2 hours of your day. I'm gonna show you how to do this. First, you want to set a timer. I don't know about you, but I work really well when I see a clock ticking somewhere on my screen, on my phone. I feel like the teacher is looking over my shoulder. So we want to replicate that sort of environment for you. So set a timer. Hey Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, counting down.
Then you're going to pick up your app of choice, whether it's TikTok or Reels. So let's look at Reels just to get started. Here I am in my newsfeed, and you can see that I'm looking at a reel right away. So obviously the platform is pushing Reels like never before, but there's actually the Reels newsfeed. So tap the middle button just down in there in the center, and you're going to see Reels. And oh, look who it is. It's a reel I just published. So yes, you might see your own Reels in your feed, but you don't want to linger too long. We have a job to do, right? The timer is ticking. So make sure you go through your newsfeed and save Reels that you think could be adapted for your niche. So let's take a look.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
All right, so this could work. What I'm gonna do is tap on the audio, and I can go ahead and tap Save Audio. The other thing you want to do here is tap the 3 dots at the bottom and then hit Save. So this is actually going to save to a collection, and I'm going to show you that in a bit. Okay, let's keep scrolling. All right, this could work for my business because I can simply do the same thing and share 3 tips. So I'm going to tap on the name of the audio, the bottom left. I'm going to hit Save Audio. It's been saved. Then I'm going to tap the 3 dots in the bottom right and click Save. Let's find one more.
Now, internally, asking myself in quite a worried way whether I might have made an error. I'm just now.
All right, this is another good clip of audio. I remember it being on TikTok a few months ago. Classic, it's now on Reels. But let's save it because this could be a good clip for me to use when I realize I'm making a common mistake. I can go ahead and use this audio and relate to my audience because it's a mistake we all probably make. So again, I am going to hit Save. And if I check my watch, hey Siri, how much time is left on the timer?
The timer has about 5 minutes left.
Okay, so I still have 5 more minutes. So with 5 more minutes, I can probably find like 5 to 10 more Reels and audios. But for the sake of this demo, I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do next with all of those saved clips that I have. So I'm gonna go over to my profile, then hit the hamburger icon in the upper right, and then go to saved. So as you can see, there's already a collection there called audio. So all those audio clips I saved are right here. Now, you can also go to all posts and you can see that the reels that we just found are also saved here too. Remember this one? So now if I untap the flag in the bottom right and tap it again, I can then hit save to collection and I can actually choose which collection to save it to. So I can put it into Reels Ideas. Now I've basically just moved it from, well, it's still in all posts, but now it's inside of another collection called Reels Ideas. So if you want to be extra organized about it and you don't want everything just living in the collection called audio, you can also sort things into something called Reels Ideas, which is a name I gave this one. Let's go back to all posts and see what else we saved there. This one. So tap the flag, tap it again, hit save collection, and then it's going into Reels Ideas. So there we go. I've got 4 ideas saved and ready to go for the next time that I film. Now you might be thinking, because we have ideas and they're ready to go, it might be time to start filming, but not in my world. I used to do that. Sometimes I do it. But when I'm really organized, what I like to do is batch each step of the process, right? So that step was sourcing our ideas, but now I actually want to move those clips and move those ideas into a project management tool. And this is something that not a lot of people do, but this is how we stay organized, especially with the volume of videos that we're producing. Plus I've got team members, right? I've got team members who can help me write captions and get these videos out there. So what I'm gonna do now is take you into my project management tool called Asana. Here we are in Asana in my Instagram production board. You can see here over on the left, I'm showing you a new column called resources and templates. So we actually have a template for every time we have a reel idea. I don't touch this. What I do is I go to the 3 dots and I say duplicate task, and I check off assignee as well. And basically everything that we already inserted is going to be in this card, and now it's ready for me to edit. So I'm gonna move it over into this column, ideas for review, and I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna also delete this, and I'm gonna fill in the title. So in another tab here on my desktop, I have my Instagram account open, and I've gone to the saved column, okay? So when you're signed into Instagram.com, just tap on the saved column here, and look what we have here. We have this collection called All Posts, looks familiar, and then we also have Reels Ideas. So tap into Reels Ideas. And this is why you want to take that extra step and not just saving the audio, right? If you save the video itself, you can pull it up here. So let's open up Cozy Home, and this is one of the Reel Ideas that we saved. Now the reason why I'm opening this on desktop is because I want this audio link. So I went ahead and clicked on the name of the audio clip. And now I'm going to copy this, Command C on Mac. I'm gonna go back into Asana, and I'm actually gonna paste it here into this area right here. So song, okay? So that's just so I don't lose that particular audio clip. Now for the next part, I want to actually write down what the concept is for the reel. So let's look at the reel again, one more time.
Working out, sleeping in, taking vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, ooh, vitamin D,
Okay, so I'm gonna write it down. So share 3 tips as you point on the beat. That's the general concept, okay? Sorry, that doesn't go there, that goes here. The idea link, that link is going to be the actual link of the reel itself. Okay, so I'm doing things a little backwards here, but you can follow along. And let's give this reel a name. Let's call it 3 tips. All right, so here is where you need to do the planning before you start the filming. So now I'm going to actually brainstorm what tips I'm going to share. So let's try 3 tips to write a bio on Instagram. That's one idea. We can say 3 let's say 3 reel ideas for coaches. Is another idea. And let's try one more topic. The top 3 Instagram features for business. So I've just brainstormed 3 ideas that could be 3 tips that I share as I'm pointing. Let's choose one of these now and write out what those 3 tips are going to be. So let's go for this one. The top 3 Instagram features Then I'm just gonna hit tab and let's say Reels for visibility is one. Let's do stories for engagement is another. And let's say DMs for sales, okay? So that's it. Let's separate this because this is the one I'm actually going to film. So pretty straightforward. Now I know that I need to film as was demonstrated in this video, but now I've already decided and created the text that I'm actually going to share on screen. This saves so much time and it's so key to do before you start filming, before you start editing. So this is ready to go. Now that this is ready to go, I'm going to assign it to myself. I'm going to give it a due date where I want it to be shared on February 15th. And then I'm going to move it over to the to create column. So it's ready for me to film now that I've done that planning. This is why I use Asana. It is so powerful for making sure that I'm ready to go when I film, and you can see I have team members here. They can go ahead and do this part for me. They can find ideas and adapt them to my niche for me. It's really, really awesome. Here's how to get ready for filming in 5 minutes or less. So the first thing I like to do is put a little bit more effort into my hair and makeup. This because I'm filming for YouTube, this took about 30 minutes, but usually my go-to makeup routine takes about 5 minutes. The next thing I'm gonna do is find my natural light. So in this case, I'm facing a window and I have a ring light on my face for additional light. The last thing you wanna do is check out the background behind you and make sure it's not too distracting, or if there's a certain color or vibe you're going for, set that up before you start filming. Next, I've got a few key pieces of equipment I need for filming. So the first is a tripod, so I make sure that this is set up to go to hold my phone. The next piece is, of course, my phone. Then I have my laptop next to me in case I want to look at my pre-production notes. And lastly, I have the Asana app open on my phone. Let's open it, let's find it. So because I used Asana in the pre-production phase, I want to have the app on my phone. That way I can go into all of the cards that I've already planned, find the audio clips, open them up in Instagram or TikTok, and then I'm ready to film. Next up is the recording phase. This is where things get fun. So I have my Asana app open and I'm going to the to create column, and my very first card there says Reel 3 tips. So because I've already done the pre-production work, I can see the song link is already there. So all I need to do is tap on the song link and it's going to open up in Instagram. Next, I'm gonna put my phone on my tripod and I'm gonna get set up for filming. Okay, so here I have positioned it. Let's go back here. A quick tip here, because my phone is being used for the recording through TikTok or Reels, I like to have my laptop open next to me, and that way I can look at that same Asana card and review my notes. So the things that I need to either say or do on camera. So I have my laptop right next to me for that. So back over to my phone, I am on the audio page that I'm going to use to film this 3 tips reel. So tap on use audio and then make sure that the camera is facing you by tapping this button in the bottom right corner. So you want to have the camera on you, especially for this one. And if you see me looking to the side, I'm just looking at my notes on my laptop. There's like 3 different places to look right now. So with this reel, I had planned to just simply point to 3 different places on the beat, and then I'm gonna add the text afterwards. So this should be pretty easy to film. So what I'm gonna do is tap the 60, just make sure that's set to 15 seconds. Then I'm going to tap the timer button, which is this one right here. And I want to actually stop the video after it hits the first 3 beats, because the way I've planned this reel, it's only going to film me for 3 different points. So let me show you what that looks like. So we're stopping after she says vitamin C. That's it. So I want to make sure that the timer is set to stop after that, or I can just revisit my reel plan and create more points that I want to share on screen. So we've hit set timer, and again, I'm simply going to point when she says vitamin A, B, and C. And there we go. So let's preview it. So after previewing this, I have to keep in mind that because I pointed right near my head, the text is probably going to go over my face. If I'm okay with that, great. If I'm not, I would reshoot it. So let's reshoot it just to be safe. So I'm back on the record page. I'm going to hit the timer again, and I'm going to stop it at the 5.2 mark. Then I'm going to hit set timer, and I'm also going to move myself over so that I have more room for the text.
Working out, sleeping in, taking vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C.
Okay, let's preview.
Working out, sleeping in, taking vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C.
All right, that version works for me, but we are not ready to share this to Reels because we still need to edit it. We need to add our text. However, we're not going to do that right now. We are going to continue filming. So you're going to want to hit save to draft, but before that, go back and hit the down button and save it, even without audio. You can always add the audio back to that recording. That's a lot easier than having to re-record again. So now that we've saved a version, now you're going to hit save draft. And if I exit out of this and go to my profile, there it is. There is our draft saved. All right, we have just filmed our very first reel. Congrats, but we're not done yet. So we're going to go back over into our Asana task. And if we want, we can go ahead and say filming complete. Okay, then we're going to hit back. And now we can actually drag this card over into the to edit column. And I'm doing this all on my phone. Next, I'm going to go back to this to create column, and I've got my next reel already lined up for me. So this one is called Wow. What I'm going to do is hit the song link, and it's going to open up in Instagram. So again, we're going to hit use audio, and I'm going to reference my notes over on my desktop for what I'm going to do for this reel. So looking at my notes, what this reel entails is me simply mouthing wow. And then again, I'm going to add text on screen with different features that Instagram has come out with. So pretty easy to film. Again, I'm going to hit the clock watch here, the timer. I'm going to listen. I think we want it to stop here. Okay, so we're going to set timer. And now we're going to hit the big record button. Let's see how well I did. All right, that's good enough for me. So again, I'm going to hit the downward button at the top. I'm going to save without audio, totally fine. Then I'm going to hit next and then save draft. And you can see it's in the bottom left, and I've got 2 drafts recently saved right there. So this is the production process. You can see that these are pretty straightforward reels. I'm not really moving around a lot, but you can always add more pizzazz to it. You can put a hat on, put some glasses on, you can change your shirt, whatever works for you. So in less than 5 minutes, I just filmed 2 reels. Let's continue on and do one more just for fun. And I have a tip for you in case you're filming a reel that involves you talking on camera. Just one second. This is my tip. This is a lav mic. So if you want to have really clean, crisp audio with your talking head tip reel, what you're going to do is get a lav mic, and I use the Rode just the Rode lav mic. And then I have an input for my phone. So all I need to do is insert this into the bottom of my phone, and then clip the lav mic onto my shirt or whatever I'm wearing. And now the audio is actually going to be recorded through this. So I do this every now and then. If you see me in a reel with this on, it's because I want extra good audio. So use that tip if you do a lot of talking head based reels. Back in Asana, here is my next reel to film. So I'm going to open this up, and the reel is called I Took 9. So again, I'm going to look for our song link right here. All right, so looking at my notes on my laptop, the concept for this one is for me to reference how many takes I took while filming reels. So I need to look breathless, basically, and kerfuffled. Yes, I need to look like I've been taking a lot of takes. So tap use audio. And for this one, I'm probably gonna run into the screen. So again, hit the timer.
How many of those did you
All right, so that's my audio. And let's perform and see what happens. I'm gonna take my slippers off for this one.
I took 9. I took 9. Yeah, I did think slightly overcommit. How many of those did you take? I took 9.
Let's review.
I took 9. Yeah, I did think slightly overcommit. How many of those?
All right, not the greatest lip sync, but I'm still gonna save this and I'm still gonna save it to a draft. You never know, it might still just be good enough. That's sort of the mentality, why don't I just crouch here and talk? That's sort of the mentality we want when we're filming for Reels, especially if you're someone like me who can be like a perfectionist. You don't want perfect A+ work. C+ is good enough. People aren't looking for perfect lip syncs or anything like that. So if it's good enough for you, it's good enough to post. All right, so exiting out of Instagram and going back to Asana, we can always click and check off. Filming is complete, feels so good. And again, you're gonna just move it over into this, hold your finger down. There we go, hold your finger down and move it over into the to edit column. You can do this on your phone or on your desktop. So you can see we just filmed 3. Let's go ahead and edit our first reel. So I'm gonna open it up and then I'm gonna tap the edit button, okay? So this brings us back to our production screen. Now I need to add the text. So I'm referencing my Asana card. It's just open on my laptop over here. And I'm going to start typing in and adding the text. All right, now that the text is all in place, I'm going to set the timing of the text. So the very first one at the top, the title that says the top 3 Instagram features for business, I want that to stay on screen the entire time. So I'm just gonna check my borders right here, the blue lines, and it looks like I am in place. I'm good to go there. Next, I want the number 1 place, the number 1 tip to appear when I point to that area. So you can see down at the bottom, I have my text clips right down there, and I've just tapped on the first one. And this is where I'm gonna set the duration of my text. So I don't want it to appear, so I'm gonna take my cursor right here. I don't want it to appear until I point, there we go. That should be fine. And then I want it to stay on screen for the rest of the time. So now I'm gonna go to my number 2 tip, and same thing, I'm gonna drag my cursor, and then right when my finger gets to that same area, I'm going to stop. And then the third point. So again, I want this to appear at the end, and there we go. All right, now I'm gonna hit done and let's watch it back. Pretty good and pretty quick too. So this reel is basically edited. There's nothing fancy that we're doing with this one. So again, you're gonna hit the downward arrow at the top and you're gonna save without audio, just in case, always good to have a backup. Then you're gonna hit next, and then you're again going to save it as a draft because we're not publishing right now. In this step, we are simply editing. Okay, so 1 reel done. Let's continue our editing process for the next reel. So let's tap into the reel and hit edit. This is the wow clip. So now I need to add text on screen while I am saying wow. There's one other aspect I want to show you before I get into this step, and it's the edit clips button. So you can see here, there's only 1 clip. This is a pretty straightforward reel, but I have the option to add clips. So if I look at the top right here, the red, you can see that I haven't filmed or recorded clips for the entirety of the audio. There's still room to record. So I'll hold my phone at a more flattering angle. If I wanted to add additional clips, I could. So let's just add in a clip for demonstration purposes. That's it, okay? I'm gonna show you some cool things you can do with this second clip. So let's go to preview. And now I've got this additional clip. Now, of course, I can always go back to edit clips and I can even reorder them if I want. So I can drag this one around if I wanted to, but I don't. And I can continue to add more clips. So if I hit that button, I've got more room to record right here. Down right here, the bottom left, is also where I can access all my clips too. So again, I can go back to all clips, or I can delete the one that I just filmed. Now, I do find that Instagram changes up these features quite often. These features in particular, I only recently got, so you might have them, you might not, but continue updating your app, and who knows, maybe Instagram will gift these to you. So one thing I want to show you, especially while you're editing, is when we go into the preview area, if you tap the music icon, you'll see that there's a couple levels that we can play with. There's the camera audio, and then there's the audio with the clip that we used. Now, you also have two more options at the bottom. You have the voiceover ability. So remember this clip right here where I'm not saying anything? I can actually add a voiceover for this section if I wanted to. Wow. Or I can add sound effects. So crickets, evil laugh, flashback. These are all relatively new features from what I've seen in my account. So there's lots to play around with. So what I'm going to do before I decide what to do with this clip, whether I want a sound effect or a voiceover, I'm going to edit the first clip with the text that I had in mind, and then I'll see if I can come up with something good for that second clip, or I'll just delete it. So let's hit done. And now I'm back on this first clip. I'm going to add my text on screen right now. All right, so I've added a few updates. I think there's a couple more that I want to add as far as what's a wow feature. So again, I'm going to go through the process of timing all of this text on screen. I want recent Instagram updates to stay on screen. And then everything else like IG live scheduling, I want to time that to appear with one of my wows. So I'm just going to drag my finger. So it looks like my first wow is there. So I'm going to move it here. And again, always check your borders, the blue line borders. Let's go for the next one, collabs. So that one is going to go up here because that's where I'm looking. Okay, next one is desktop publishing. So that's my third wow. Okay, I did a lot of wows right here over my face. So in that case, I'm going to go into the text, tap into it, hit return between the two words, and that makes it a little bit smaller, which is better for me. Now let's go to link sticker for all. That's down here. And then meta. Okay. Let's hit done and preview it.
Wow. 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 Wow.
All right, I think there's a couple wows that I missed, and I also need more wows to add. But now I've got to decide, what am I going to do with this clip? So I think that clip is a perfect opportunity to add in a call to action. So I'm going to actually go back, edit all the durations of these little text updates. I'm going to remove them so that they don't appear over this clip. So now by the time we see this clip, it's free, it's empty. And what I want to do is add a voiceover, okay? So just because I did a bunch of edits, I'm just going to hit next and save as draft just to be on the safe side. I'm a little paranoid. Now I'm going to go back into it, hit edit, and now I'm going to hit the music icon at the top, and I'm going to go to voiceover, okay? Cool feature. I'm going to drag the cursor to start where my second clip is, the colorful shirt. And now I'm going to hit that record button and speak. So my voiceover is going to be, for more Instagram tips for your business, follow me, Elise Darma, and then hit done. So now I have my 3 audio levels at play, and we'll hit done. Now this is a great time to add more text to reiterate my voiceover. And now I want this to appear with this clip. And maybe I want to remove recent Instagram updates because it's right on my forehead. So I'm going to remove it so that it ends here. There we go. Next, and we're going to save as draft. Always save as draft. All right, let's review it one more time. Hit edit.
Wow. 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 Wow.
For more Instagram tips for your business, follow me, Elise Darma.
Wow.
Now, adding that second clip at the end, it kind of changes up the vibe. So if you're not feeling it, you can absolutely go back and delete it. But I thought I'd show you that voiceover effect because it could be really great, especially when you have a reel that pulls together multiple clips and then you want to add your story through your voice over top of all those clips. One more reel to edit, let's go. And it's this one right here where I took 9 takes. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and add my text and then we're going to set the duration for it. So with this text, I have added quotation marks because I want it to come across like it's a question someone's asking me. Now notice there are quite a few features at the bottom and the top to adjust how your text looks. So this is similar to text in your stories if you're familiar with that. So you can simply drag your finger and choose the font style that you like. And then when you see the A with the sparkly at the top, that will remove or add a background. And of course, you can change the color of the background by choosing the color wheel, and you can choose a color from, the wheel options, or you can use the eyedropper tool and choose a color that is similar to what's going on in your video. There's also the text align button, so I usually like to keep mine centered. And then at the end is the animation button. I usually don't use this too much for reels, but it depends on the vibe that you're going for. So lots of text options right there. One other feature that I want to show you that's also similar to Instagram stories is if you hit the square happy face, you're going to see some GIF options and sticker options that you've also seen in stories. But one really, really handy option is the captions sticker. So the caption sticker typically works for a talking head based reel. So if you're talking on camera and you want to add your captions as you're speaking, use this sticker. For this particular reel, because I'm using an external audio clip, I believe it's not working. But I can always type it in. So I can say something like, I took 9, right? Yeah, so I can manually add in those captions and I can go ahead and repeat exactly what I'm saying in this entire clip. There we go. Let's preview it, my quick caption style.
I took 9. I took 9. Yeah, I did, I think, slightly overcommit.
So the reason why you might want to take that time to add in those captions manually or with the caption sticker is because A, a lot of people watch their reels with the sound off, and B, it makes your videos much more accessible for those who are hearing impaired. Now that we've edited this last reel, again, we're going to hit save draft. So the first step of the publishing process is writing a caption for your reel. Now, reels do have a longer shelf life than any other current type of content on Instagram, meaning you can post a reel today and you can get views from it a week from now, a month from now. It's happened to my account. So the caption is a really great place to get your message across. The reel captures someone's attention, but the caption keeps someone's attention there. It's also a really great place to put in your calls to action if you miss putting them in your reel. So for this step in the process, I actually go over to my laptop, I go back into Asana, and I write the caption in my Asana card and do it on my desktop because it's a lot easier than on my phone. So let's go back into Asana. So I'm at my desk and Asana is open, and under this column to schedule or post, I've got my edited reels. Now I just need to write their captions. So I like to write them in the card itself. So here is my reel called 3 Tips, which I've already edited, as you saw in prior videos. And this is the section where I'm going to actually write the caption. So the headline is meaning the first line of my caption, super important to draw people's attention. Then the body of the caption, then the call to action, and then the hashtags that I want to attach to that caption. So I'm going to go ahead and write that now. And PS, if you struggle with writing captions and you want a jumping off point, I highly recommend you check out Caption Vault, my done for you product where I actually give you 300 caption templates, whether you're a coach, a service-based business, or a product-based business. I've already said too much, but head to captionvault.co to check it out. All right, my caption is written and you can see down here, it's now time to enter in my hashtags. So I like to use this tool right here called Flick. Let me log in real quickly. And I'm going to show you how quickly I can find hashtags. So I want to start with hashtag ideas that use key search terms that I've just written in this caption. So the first one would be like business owner. That's who I'm targeting in that caption. So I like to have table view in Flick, and I can see that business owner, the average likes for posts that use that hashtag are 959, which is something that my account could rank for. So I'm going to choose that one. Now I'm actually going to sort this by average likes. So let's look at these ones right here. This is similar to my like count. And then I want to go deeper into go-getter. So I'm going to hit this icon right here, and I'm going to find some more. Okay, now I'm going to find a new key search term. You can see all the ones I just selected are selected at the bottom. So there's 19 hashtags. I want to find one more related to Instagram tips, something like that. And let's sort them by the likes. And let's say Instagram tips for business, Instagram tips daily, social media tools. Great. Now I have 22 selected hashtags. So I can go ahead and hit copy to clipboard. And there we go. They've been copied. And now I can simply enter them into my caption. There we go. So that's the process of how I write my captions for my reels and find hashtags. And then I'm going to go ahead and repeat that for all of my edited reels that are ready for publishing. That's the whole key and the magic of batch creation. But to show you the next steps of publishing a reel, let's go back over into my phone. And in this case, I have the Asana app open, and I can tap into the reel that I just wrote a caption for. So here's my Asana card, and there we can see the caption that I just wrote over on the desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. I'm going to say edit, yes. I'm going to go ahead and select this, and I'm going to copy everything that I just wrote in Asana. Copy, save. All right, so that's good to go. Then I'm going to go back into Instagram, into my Reels drafts. I'm going to select the reel that's ready to post. There it is. And you can see right underneath the preview of the reel, it says write caption. So I'm going to tap that where the cursor is. I'm going to tap that again and hit paste. So now that caption that I just wrote is much more easy to manage because I wrote it on my desktop and it's a very small window currently. So there's my caption. Now, one more step in this process is the cover. So if we tap edit cover, you can see that you can choose something from your reel itself, a screenshot. You can also look at how it's going to work in your profile grid and move it around. So if I wanted a pretty straightforward image of myself, that could be fine. The other option is to add something from your camera roll. Now, I know this could look like a lot of work, like designing a thumbnail. You know, we're not all graphic designers, but I want to show you my real quick hack as to how I make cover images for my reels all within the Instagram app. So to do so, I'm going to hit done, and I'm going to actually save this reel as a draft. It's not ready for publishing yet. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my home. Hello. And I'm going to pull open an image from my camera roll. Can be anything. Then I'm going to tap the 3 dots in the upper right where it says draw. I'm going to choose that. And I typically use white as a background color. So white is selected. Then I'm going to hold my finger down and then hit done. So now I have a blank canvas to start with. So now I'm just going to add text over top. So choose the AA. And for this cover image, I want something that's going to intrigue people. So I'm going to call it the top 3. And I'm going to scroll through and find a font that I like. And to change that background color, I'm just going to hit the A with the sparkle. And then I'm going to hit the color wheel and make that black. Okay, so the top 3, and then I'm going to go back to AA. I'm going to choose a different font. I'm going to say Best Instagram. Let's make that black as well. And let's go back to one more text block. Say features, the top 3 best Instagram features to use. That's what I want it to say. I'm going to make that all black. So that in itself is a fine cover. I can add emojis if I wanted. I can go to the AA and hit my symbol down in the bottom left, and I can add some emojis. There you go. Find something that makes sense. You can drag those around. But one of my favorite things to do is to actually incorporate my brand colors into the cover image. So here's a little trick that I like to use. Here I am inside of my favorites album on my phone, and here I have saved my brand colors. So what I like to do here is tap select, then choose that image of my brand colors, and then hit the square arrow in the bottom left, and then hit copy photo. Now I'm gonna go back over into this window, and you can see that Instagram is saying add sticker. Now, if you miss that prompt, all you have to do is find your cursor by tapping on the screen, and then you can go ahead and hit paste. So now I have 2 versions of it. So I like to bring this sticker in, and now I can play around with my brand colors. So let's say I want the top 3 to actually be in my brand green. So let's choose the dark green. And then I want best Instagram features. So I'm just tapping on it, and then I'm choosing the eyedropper. And using the eyedropper tool, I'm going to find the color that I want to use. So let's do purple. And let's also hit the A with the sparkles to give it a background. That might be too dark, so let's hit it again. And then it makes it the light purple background. And then features to use, let's move this up. I'm going to tap features to use, then the eyedropper, and then go back to the dark green. There we go. Center everything. So because I've got 3 lines of text, I really want to center best Instagram. That's the middle. There we go. Centered, and then features to use, and then the top 3. One more thing that I want to add is by hitting the 3 dots and then draw. And let's try the arrow icon in the top. And again, use the eyedropper tool. Let's choose the arrow. Let's see if we do something like that. Let's try it. Let's hit done. Now, before we're done and ready to save a copy of this to our camera roll, we need to select our colors and put them in the garbage, okay? So this is effectively what our cover image is gonna look like. If I'm good with it, if I'm happy with it, I'm then gonna go back to the 3 dots and I'm gonna find the save button. So if I hit that, now a copy of it has been saved to my camera roll. And this is what I'll use to upload when I publish my reel. Now let's go back to our drawing feature and let's hit undo. And since we still have the yellow selected, maybe I just wanna, oops, no, I don't want the arrow. I want the highlighter. And maybe I just want to circle like top 3. I don't know about you, but I find circles so hard. Oh, there we go. That's a bit better. So let's hit done and then hit save. Okay, let's go back to draw, hit undo, and let's maybe try another version where we do a squiggle. And the reason why I like to give myself a couple versions is because I want to see which one captures my eye first, okay? So hit done and then go back to save. And now I've just created 3 versions for this cover image. Now that I'm done and I think there's a winner in there, I'm going to hit the back button and I'm not going to post that story. I'm going to go back to my drafts and go back into the reel where we've already edited it. There's already a caption. I'm going to tap add from camera roll, and now I can see the 3 that I just made and choose the one that captures my attention first. I think I'm going to go with the last one, and then I'm going to hit profile grid just to see how it's going to look. I already know everything's centered, so it looks good. And then I'm going to hit done. Now our reel is ready for publishing. Before hitting publish, I like to check through the settings and make sure that also share to feed is turned on. That way my reel will actually live in my feed, not just in the reels feed. I have the option to tag people, so I can tag myself since I'm the only one in that one. I can add a location if I want, and then I can allow for it to be recommended onto Facebook. And then of course, there's the advanced setting currently, which allows me to connect with a brand partner. But since that's not the case for this reel, it's ready to be published as is. So once you check through all of those, you can review your caption one more time, then you're gonna go ahead and hit that share button and your reel is being published. Once your reel has fully been published, you're gonna see it in your main feed as well as in your reels feed. So once it's been published, share it around. And the first place you can share it is actually in your stories. So tap into your newly published reel and then hit the paper airplane icon right there. Then hit add reel to your story and then you can publish it to your stories. This is a great strategy to do when you publish new reels because the views that your reel get in your stories count towards its overall views as well. Now that you've just published your reel, give yourself a pat on the back because it can be a lot of work. But now that you've just followed my batch creation process, hopefully it was a lot more efficient. If you followed my process, you should have 10 to 20 reels already edited and they have captions. So basically your month is ready to go. You've got content for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And once you start publishing those reels, they are going to be driving new eyeballs over to your profile. So it's time to make sure that your profile is speaking the right language to your ideal followers. To help you attract the right follower who sticks around, I want to do some profile makeovers. So if you're interested in getting my eyeballs on your Instagram profile, leave a comment below this video with your profile handle. I'll take a look and who knows, you might be featured in an upcoming video where I do profile makeovers.